Hello YouTube friends and welcome to my channel. Today I will be showing you step by step how I painted this bluebell painting. So let's get started. To start off today's painting, I'm going to completely saturate my paper with some clean water. Today I'm using Bockingford's Artist Grade watercolor paper. It's 100% cotton and it helps to absorb the colors and the water really well. And I'm starting off with some lemon yellow here. I want the top of the corner of this paper to kind of look like sunshine coming through. So I'm doing some sort of sun rays. Down at the bottom, I'm going to be adding in some Van Dyke green and some bright clear violet and some Prussian blue. I'm using the Prussian blue up here in the corner, and I'm not going too far into that yellow because I don't want to create green. So be careful when you're mixing your blues and greens together. And I'm just randomly putting in these colors down at the bottom to represent some type of foliage down at the bottom. I want it to look like there's some purple flowers in the background, kind of like with a misty kind of background. Today I'm using Magello Mission Gold watercolor paints. I like that they're heavily pigmented, so I use these quite a bit in some of my tutorials. I'll leave a list in the description box of any materials that I've used today. There'll be a link to Amazon if you're interested in purchasing any of them. I am an Amazon affiliate and I do make a small commission if you do purchase them. It doesn't cost you any extra money. It just helps out my channel in a small way. Just adding in some water droplets here. I was trying to make some lighter areas, but I think I ended up abandoning that because it wasn't working out too well. Just adding in some darker areas and with a little bit of red violet to give a different variation in this purple. For the bluebells, I am using the bright clear violet and Prussian blue, mixing those two together to make this kind of periwinkle blue color for these bluebells. Just adding in a little bit of foliage of leaves. You can just randomly place these in. The paper is still really wet at this point, so whatever you put down is going to blend in with the background. And always have a water bottle handy in case you need to spritz your paper, but be careful because sometimes the water droplets can be really big and they'll repel the paint. Now I'm just adding in some droplets of that. I think it was red violet that I used for this. Really doesn't matter what color you choose. I'm just splattering it with my paintbrush. And this is some of that bright clear violet that I'm splattering. And I'm just lifting out with my paper towel in the areas that I don't want to have the pigment. And now that all of this is on the paper, I'm going to allow this to completely dry. I'm trying to scrub out some of this pigment right here. But as you can tell, some of these colors are staining, so they're not going to lift. Just spritzing to make some extra contrast on the paper. Now that it is completely dried, I'm going to go in and put in the flowers of this mixture of the Prussian blue and the opera bright clear violet. Sorry. I don't know why Mission Gold decided to name their dioxazine purple bright clear violet, but that's the color that they gave it. So I'm trying to be consistent in telling you the colors that that I have in my palette. I really just want to say purple, but I can't because that wouldn't be accurate. So as you can see, I'm using this damp brush to kind of lift out the top of this flower. I want the top part to be lighter than the bottom part because the sunlight is coming from the top. I'm not getting into too many details in this painting because as you know in my previous videos, it helps for me to paint fast. And this video was sped up to 2 times the normal speed. And if you would like to slow it down, you can go into the settings below. It's the little settings icon. And under the playback speed, you can actually change the playback speed to whatever suits your interest. I use it quite often. I do watch other people's videos on YouTube, so feel free to use that to help you out. And I'm just using clean water to lift out wherever I need. And this is just varying shades of this Prussian blue and this bright clear violet. And I'm just using water to blend out when needed. This is the first time that I've ever painted bluebells. I typically keep some paper towels in my hand, in my left hand, so that when I need to wipe off my brush, I have them right there where I need them. Having control over the water that you use on your paintbrush will help you a lot in your paintings. If you have too much water, it's just easier to have it in your hand and just dab it off before you go to the paper. These are just some small little buds that I'm painting in at the top. There's really not a lot of detail to them. I'm allowing the paint and the water to make the varying shades that I want. More water, less pigment for these lighter colors. And this bluebell right here is going to be a lighter shade because I want it to seem like it's in the background. You can see this one looks a little bit more blue than the other one did. It's just varying shades of that bright clear violet and this Prussian blue to make this kind of a bluish purple color. I didn't really follow along with the white areas that I had, so I'm going to fill those in later with some green to try and fill in those areas. That's what's kind of hard about lifting out pigment from the paper. You don't really, sometimes it's not in the right place. I had a sketch on my paper, but for some reason, after I put water to the paper, my sketch kind of disappears. So I need to find a pencil that doesn't lift out whenever I put water on the paper. If you've been painting for a while, there's different styles of pencils. The one that I use is a graphite one, and I think that's why it's lifting out. Now that I have the main colors down on these flowers, I'm going to start putting in a few details. Nothing major, just some little lines to show the petals on the flowers and to darken up some of the centers of the flowers. Bluebells have these little lines that define the petals. And I'm just using clean water to blend out these lines wherever I need to. This flower right here, I wanted to make it seem like there was a petal that was curling up in the front. So I'm leaving this lighter area here and using the water to blend out this line right here because I don't want the hard edges on there. And I'm going to darken up this center to make it just so it better defines the center of this flower. I had a good reference photo for this flower, but I'm not really following that. The reference photo, the flowers were really pale and mine are kind of deep, so I'm just kind of winging it here. For this flower down here, as you can tell, I left the center of the flower light. I guess I was thinking that maybe the sunlight was somehow shining through the center of this flower, which is possible. So now I'm going to use some Van Dyke green to put in the stems of the flower. Like I said, this is just a simple painting. I'm not usually when I do stems, I will use different shades of greens, usually making the center of the stem lighter than the outside. But for this painting, I'm not going to get into too much detail on the stems. So I'm pretty much just using Van Dyke green for this process. And right here, I put in the stem in the wrong place. I don't want that stem to be coming straight down, so I'm going to have to lift that out. I'm just using a clean damp brush and I'm just kind of scrubbing and then lifting with my paper towel to get that pigment off the paper. I want this stem to kind of curve down instead of it coming straight down like it was. It wasn't until I got done with this painting that I realized that there was two flowers at the top that I forgot to put in stems for, but I added them later. This is a voiceover, so that's why I can tell you after the fact that that's what happened. So right there, this flower right here is missing a stem, and the one to the right of it is missing a stem, but it's something that I added later. Not everything in YouTube world is perfect. Just finishing up those little lines for these flowers. And then I'm going to be adding in some extra foliage to kind of fill out this bottom section of the painting because right now it's kind of boring. I'm using yellow green to add in this lighter shade of green. I'm trying to fill in these white spaces that I had left earlier because I just thought that they were just kind of sticking out kind of weird. And just adding in some leaves and just using that Van Dyke green and the yellow green to mix up these different shades of green. And I'm just randomly putting in, just leaves and some grasses. You'll see that I like to flick my brush. Usually when I'm doing grass, that's what I do. I put it on the paper and I just flick it upwards. So at this point, I'm going to finish up with these little leaves and foliage and grasses that I'm putting into this painting to try to fill in the background. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you will check out all my other videos that I have on my channel. I have quite a few at this point. And I wanted to thank all of you for liking and sharing and subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do so. It is completely free. And make sure to stick around for the end for the tape pull because I don't know about you guys, but the tape pull is one of my favorite parts. So I hope you guys enjoy your day and thanks for watching.